Hi guys, Neil at Italia Autos here, back with the Alfa 155 today. I am waiting for the windscreen guy to come back to me. That should be fitted in this episode, hopefully later this week. So I'm at a little bit of a loose end now, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to service this while another car's off with its MOT, and I'm waiting for another car to arrive. So I'm going to give this oil filter change. I'm probably going to drain the post-tube fluid out and change that. Let's start with one of the easiest jobs we can do, is change the air filter. So really servicing these twin spark engines, especially the older ones, it's quite easy. There's no issues or problems you get, especially on these airboxes. They're a lot easier to access than the GTV ones, and the 147 ones are a lot easier to access. It's just got very, very long bolts to undo the things. Someone's put a different screw in there, and it's rather smaller. I'm going to take these out because I can see as soon as I pull it off, these are going to drop into the engine bay and never be seen again. Air filter was actually really clean. Pop that in the bin. Blow any debris out. Brand new genuine filter in. So what I've got to say is, what's going to be done on this car is pretty much most things that I said in the video. The rear subframe is going to be coming off, and the front subframe's coming off. We're also going to be changing all the brake lines. We're going to be doing a couple of repairs to the scratches on the bumpers. Hopefully the dent guy is going to come out and repair the dents on the boot. He has said he won't be able to do the dents on the door, but my opinion is, if he takes a better look at it, he might be able to do a better job than me chucking a load of filler in there when I pulled the dents out. So waiting for him getting back in contact with me now. I have said that I want it booking in with him, but I haven't heard back off him yet. I'm going to send him another message. If not, I'll have to find another company to do some dents for me. This is why I always normally use a 7mm or whatever size it is socket on these Jubilee clips, because your screwdriver keeps falling out. So there we go, one job done. Now we shall change the oil. Time to change the oil and filter now. Oil filter's here, just use an oil filter wrench to get that off. Not difficult at all. Try not to make a mess while you do it. I normally just undo the oil filter a few turns, let all the oil drain out, and then take it off the rest of the way. And a big tip is make sure that the gasket which is on the oil filter has actually come away, because sometimes it'll stick onto the oil cooler, and you'll end up putting two filters on there, and you'll two seals on there, and when you start it you'll have oil pouring everywhere. So do make sure you do that right. One brand new genuine oil filter to be fitted. Let's just clean up the surface where it's going to go. Hand tight, and then a little bit further. Clean up after yourself. Right, now let's get the elusive sump plug out, and let's see if it will come out first go. It is just a square hole. Oh, it looks like somebody had a good go at it already. There we go. Right, new sump plug washer on. And now you just clean up the area afterwards, get rid of any drips of oil. Right, whilst I'm under here, I might as well just drain the power steering fluid as well, get 2 jobs done at once. And that's all drained off. Let's put these lines back on. Remember, it did look like it was weeping from here in the last video, so I will make sure it's nice and tight. It did seem tight enough anyway, but we shall see. Clip back on there. And again, I'm going to clean this area up, get rid of all my drips and stuff, but mainly I want to check when it's back together and running again. That was nothing leaking from this one. So, back on the ground. Don't worry, it is the right oil going in. I'm just using a smaller container rather than using my big 20-litre drum to transfer the oil across. It's a lot less messier and a lot easier on the old back. There we go, that's just above maximum now. So by the time started up, oil circulates. I'll check it again and that should go down to the correct mark. Power steering fluid now. Got about a litre left here, so hopefully we've got enough power steering fluid. And don't worry, just say automatic, where it is the train, same stuff. What I'm doing now is I'm just turning the wheels from left to right just to help get some fluid through the system. Now I'm not going to change the brake fluid as I have got to change pretty much all the brake pipes on the car, so we're not going to do that yet. You also think the battery's no good as it's been sitting only the weekend and it's now what, Wednesday, and it's dead, so we shall have to get a new battery for it. Just let it run for a few minutes, let it warm up a little bit. I've now stopped it, let the oil settle, rechecked the oil, and it was perfectly fine. So now, if you can hear now, there's ever such a slight little ticking. That's going to be just a slightly dry hydraulic lifter. By the time the engine gets up to temperature, that should hopefully disappear. And it would be a lot quieter with the exhaust on it, but there's no point putting that on yet because we've got to remove the rear subframe. So yeah, I have ruined continuity in my next 3 videos, I think, because I have got no hair in this one, and then earlier on I've got no beard, and then I've got a bit of bum fluff going on. So yeah, that's all ruined, and I don't know where I am with filming videos because I've got 3 going at once at the moment. So I am all over the shop. So where are we now on the 155? We have got the windscreen in. There was no issues fitting that at all. I did film some of it. I couldn't film all of it because I'd popped to the paint shop to get some supplies. The guy had phoned me. He said, "Oh yeah, I'm here." I said, "Okay, I'll be back in 10 minutes. I'll come back." The screen was out already and he was half ready to fit the other one. So it came out really easy, in fact, indeed. And the seal which goes around the windscreen, we were worried about that because we can't get one for love nor money. But we managed to save the old one, and that's gone back on without any issues at all. So screen is all in and dried. Today I'm going to be doing the cam belt and water pump. I'm hopefully also going to be removing the front subframe to get that refurbished, and I also want to see whether we've got any rust on the body where the subframe mounts. So let's get cracking on. Now I am going to be skipping through this cam belt change because I have already done a guide on the cam belt change on a twin spark. There aren't really many differences between the twin spark engines. The main one being is just that this has got a metal rocker cover, and they are very easy to snap in this corner down here. So you have to be very careful when taking them on and taking them off. So what you will see me doing is not using any power tools to get this off. Looming bolts. Having such a lovely weekend. As soon as I come back to the unit today, it's really foggy outside, really horrible. But I did work Saturday morning and it was quite nice actually, because I managed to do a few jobs outside. So I've got to remove the coil packs next, but I haven't got the right size bit on me, so I've started undoing these. I mean, yeah, other differences are the wiring loom's different, coil packs are different. I think there's a difference in alternators on these engines. And I'm sure somebody will correct me. Yeah, throttle body's different on the phase 2 engines. This one is a cable, whereas the newer ones are fly-by-wire. And the manifold's different, it's plastic on the phase 2 engine. So there we go, coil pack can almost come out now. I need somewhere to put my bolts, but I've lost my magnetic tray. Just pop them there. Will these come out easily? Nope. So one thing I'm looking forward to seeing is how clean is the engine underneath these rocker covers, because that's a good sign of how well the car's been looked after throughout its life. Shame you can't easily do this when you are buying a car, because if it's all black and carbonised up on the inside, it's either hasn't been serviced for a very long time, or throughout all of its life it's never had regular oil changes. So let's hope it's fairly clean, and that'll give you an idea to how worn an engine is. I have also ordered a rocker cover gasket. I've got a big pile of parts down there on the floor, and I've got to go through them and sort them out. So just now it's what, Monday morning, and yesterday the first video went out. It's currently trending as my my #1 video, so thank you guys for watching it all. What you can do with this as well, you can just roll the cover over and let it rest over there, but I'm going to take this off fully so I can inspect it for cracks. So there we go. That's what I mean by having an engine that hasn't seen regular oil changes. It's all black on the inside, so there's not a lot we can do with it other than rebuilding the engine and stripping it all apart. You can put some additives in the oil, but what I recommend to do is just some regular oil changes. And with the heat of the engine, hopefully some of it will come off. But yeah, that's rather black. So I am going to leave you now for a bit while I get the cam belt done. No need for me to film this because I've already done a video on it. I will stick a video in the link above or in the description below. If we run into any problems, I will film them. So you may see either a finished cam belt now or run into some problems. So see you in a bit. Well, we're doing well. First problem we've run into is the water pump doesn't want to come out, because if you look at the top of the water pump, somebody's silicone sealed it all in place. These water pumps, here's the one I made earlier, and you've got a little seal just there that stops the water leaking out. So you don't need to put any silicone sealant in there if you've cleaned the surfaces properly. So somebody's bodged this one together, so I need to try and get the water pump out. I have tapped it around with a screwdriver a little bit just to break the seal, so I just need to try and get that out now. So I'll film this bit for you and see if we can get it to work properly. I do have Mr. Bucket underneath ready to catch any water that comes out. So I've got the water pump out. I don't know whether I'll click record or not, so you may have missed it. But yeah, we've got silicone at the top and at the bottom. The water pump itself isn't in bad condition. There are some Alfa engines that you do need to put some silicone on, like the 2.4159 engines. It does come with a seal, but over the years I have found a few which leaked. So I have just put a little tiny smear around the seal, and that means it doesn't leak. And the ones which don't come with the seal are the Mito 1.4 engines and the 1.2 engines. They have to be silicone sealed in because they don't come with a gasket. So right, I'm going to clean this up, pop the water pump back in, but I'm going to do all that off camera, so hopefully see you at the end where we can start it up. Cam belt's all done now. Now, no matter how many cam belts I do, I always hate turning that key that first time, just in case you've done something wrong. Never ever done anything wrong, but it still always plays on my mind every time I turn the key. So let's get it started. Didn't run into any problems. Everything, water pump went back in fine, no broken bolts. There's actually no missing bolts anywhere on the engine cover either. So it went back together nicely. So let's get it started. I'd forgotten for a second then there's no exhaust on it. I was like, what's going on? Yeah, all done, no issues whatsoever. So let's get it in the air now and get the subframe off it. I've charged this all weekend and it's misbehaving. I think it's time to order another one, because it is not working at all. Yeah, I've let the car run for sort of 10 minutes just to get it up to a little bit of temperature in the exhaust, so hopefully I can get all these out with none of them snapping. They have been replaced relatively recently, but what I can see here is there's loads of gasket sealant around it, so I think the gasket's probably knackered underneath this, but we shall see. Notice we're missing the mount for the exhaust as well, but that's no hardship. Now a lot of people don't like putting these covers back on for the exhaust, because if you hit a pothole quite hard you can break the sump, but I've never done it. But as this car's lowered, it might be an idea to leave it off. I'll decide that when the subframe goes back on, or discuss it with the customer anyway. Let's get a cloth because that exhaust is going to be hot. While the subframe's off, I'm also going to hopefully try and de-rust the underneath of the chassis legs because I can see a little bit of rust on them. I had also removed the O2 sensor so I could get that out a little bit easier. So now we've got some 13mm to undo, we've got to get the engine mount off, and then we can start undoing the subframe, anti-roll bar and power steering bolts. You know, when I'm undoing this engine mount as well, I never bother undoing that one because 9 times out of 10 it's seized or just spins, and it's a lot easier just to take these two 13mm out than it is to faff around with that 18-19mm one. I bet one of these will snap. Let's get some heat into those and try and make them not snap. Nope. Sometimes, no matter what you do, you can't save a bolt, and normally these ones are the ones which break. And one more to snap probably. This one isn't quite as rusty actually. There you go, we've got one bolt we can refit because the other one had already snapped before I got to it. Right, and do two more up here. It's been a few years since some of these bolts have been off, if they've ever been off. This is the last bolt holding the subframe up, really, still connected to the wishbones and the hubs, so it shouldn't drop too far. Right, we can knock that subframe down now. I just need to get my gearbox jack just to support it, separate it from the knuckles here, and that's one job done. Well, that didn't fight me too much. The top of the subframe isn't in too bad of a condition, to be honest. It's not going to need replacing, it's just going to need cleaning up and repainting. As to the body itself, that is actually really good, because up here you normally see lots of rust where the water's settled and got into the subframe and into the body. A little bit of rust up here, but again, it's nothing massive. So this is the underside of the subframe. Not very good, it is rather crusty to be honest. We shall see if it'll clean up with a wire wheel on a grinder. Worst case scenario is we'll have to take it to be blasted, like I'm going to have to do with the rear subframe. But this side of the subframe isn't bad at all, just a little bit of crustiness at the top. The front is okay, that's probably helped throughout the years through a little oil leak that it's probably had at some point. And there's all oil on the subframe, but we can clean that up and hopefully get in this look like new. Right, before I carry on doing the subframe, I am going to treat this down here. It's not bad at the minute, it is just surface rust and a little bit crusty, so we're going to get as much of the rust off as we can with my wire wheel, and then we're going to put something I call Omnicoat underneath it, which is sort of a rust converter, and we should have that back to being good usable metal again. Right, got rid of as much rust as I can. I've got to be very careful around here not to hit the fuel pipes. Haven't got to worry too much about this bit here because that can be done, and that can be done when the subframe's on the car because that's where the floor pan is. So I'm going to get some of my Omnicoat out and give it a quick coating. Whilst the grinder was out, I thought I'd give this little bit of floor a quick going over. And it's not too bad really, it's not as bad as I thought it was. We've got some crushed sill here which has caused it to rust there. We've got a little hole there which isn't that big at all, so it's not going to take much to repair that, but by the time we can get the arm out of the way and clean that properly, that rust hole is probably going to be about 2 inches by 2 inches. The rest of the sill isn't too bad. The metal had gone a little bit thin there, but I wouldn't stress over that. There's no holes or anything there, and the only other hole we've got to deal with is this one here. That's the under seal there, which is poking through, but we've got about a 3-inch square patch to put there, and the floor in the centre I've just given it a very quick going over, and it's just surface crusty rust. There's no holes going to be coming there at all, so all in all the floor isn't that bad. I haven't done anything on this side, but I can see a little bit of welding being needed to be done there, and maybe a tiny bit up in the corner there. So all in all, for a UK car, this one isn't bad at all. It is pretty tidy. 2 little spots for a 25-year-old car, that ain't bad, and it's never been welded before. I think in the last episode I thought it had been welded there, but no, it's just the thick under seal which is there that I was touching. But no, yeah, 2 little patches, pretty good for a car of this age. There we go, so all the rust is now gone, well, as much as possible anyway. I've just put a good coat of this Omnicoat on it. I'm going to let it dry overnight, or maybe for 5-6 hours, and then give it a coat of primer, and then we can paint it black. Subframe is now all done, all nice and bright, shiny and painted. This side is still rather quite pitted, but not a lot you can do about it. The metal is still really thick. So there we go, guys. I've got to get home and edit this video now and get it ready for you guys. So thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button and give me a comment below what you think of it, and I'll see you in the next video.